Good morning. It's Wednesday, December 23rd, and at long last we have a new stimulus package, a new package that was passed by Congress. $900 billion pandemic relief package, or as they call it, a relief bill. In any event, it was a compromise bill. Nobody got everything that they want, but here's a rundown of several things that are in the bill. This is the second largest stimulus package after the $2 trillion CARES Act that Congress approved in March. Now, direct aid to states and liability protections for companies were left out of this bill. And the bill had pandemic jobless assistance in it, as well as eviction protections. The package is going to send direct payments of $600 to individuals. That's half the amount that they got the first time around. And eligible families will receive an additional $600 per child, which is $100 more than they gave the last time around. And of course, there's an income cutoff. So if you're making more than $75,000, you'll get something that's reduced, a reduced payment. But if you make more than $99,000, you won't get anything. All of the aid packages are based on the 2019 tax returns. There are unemployment benefits in this bill, too. So everybody is going to receive a $300 weekly federal enhancement in benefits for 11 weeks. That's everybody who's eligible. And the agreement calls for the extensions of two other pandemic unemployment programs that were created in March. Both are currently set to expire this week, and they affect 12 million people, estimated. And there are several other minor adjustments to the unemployment insurance packages involving overpayments of unemployment insurance and situations where state unemployment insurance benefits are available. There will be small business loans available to companies with 300 or less employees. That's different from the last package where large corporations were able to get big benefits. So this time they've tightened it up and put some rules on it, and now it's for small businesses only. Then there's a $15 billion grant program for live venues and theaters and museum operators. The initial grant can total up to $10 million per eligible business. A second grant worth half that amount may also be available. So maybe there'll be some theaters and plays that go on till we get to the end of this pandemic. Now, the money that they're giving to theaters are for payroll costs and rent and utilities and personal protective equipment. There's also rental assistance, $25 billion set aside for rental assistance. Then we have nutrition assistance also in this bill. That would raise the SNAP program, that's food stamps, by about 15% for the next 6 months. And there's $20 billion in there for the purchase of vaccines so they can be available at no charge for those who need it, as well as another $8 billion for vaccine distribution. And it'll also give states another $20 billion to assist with the testing. That's a good thing. So there's plenty about this bill that have people upset. But there's one thing that really bothered most everybody. And it's not the fact that this bill is smaller than the first bill. That seems to be okay with people. What's really upsetting everybody is something that's called the 3 martini lunch deduction. This particular item is President Trump's pet project. He has pushed hard for this since the spring, as it means a boost to the restaurant industry that has been especially hard by the pandemic. Businesses have only been able to take 50% of their meal expenses off their federal taxes since the 1980s. But a proposal backed by the White House and Senator Tim Scott of South Carolina, Republican, would let them write off 100% of their meal expense. And Secretary Mnuchin has included this tax break as a White House priority in all stimulus bill negotiations, although many of us never heard about this before. And the Democrats agreed to it in exchange for an extension of tax credits for low-income families and the working poor. So here you have ranking Republicans and White House staff nickel and diming benefits for the jobless workers while pushing a tax break for a 3 martini lunch for powerful business interests. This is a benefit that will not end when the stimulus package runs out. This will go on forever or until a new tax law is written. That's really unconscionable. There's no way to check the validity of these expenses. They're not required to list the names and the social security numbers and everything else and the titles of all the people that they had lunch with. And how many times could a corporation have somebody who eats alone and thinks about business and then comes in and submits a slip and they take that? There's no check on lunch expenses. So every day you could go out 3 or 4 of your cronies in the office and go for lunch, submit the thing, and you get 50%, but you didn't do any real business at that. So it's a sham. So this 3 martini lunch extension is really meaningless. It's just a way to allow business to steal more money from the innocent taxpayer who doesn't have the advantage of having his lunch paid for by the corporation. And what's even worse is that we have a president who pushed hard for this tax deduction. It bothered him that probably over the years he couldn't take the full 100% of his lunches out on his tax forms or his business expense forms. But knowing him, he probably had a way around it anyhow. So in my mind, this is a benefit that doesn't belong in a stimulus package. And it certainly shouldn't have been used as leverage to get this bill passed on the backs of people who are helpless. So that's it for the stimulus package. And let's hope that it benefits enough people to get us through this pandemic. And I'll see you in the morning. Bye.